It's finally constructed, up and running. Today we're coming to you from the newly established Newtown Junction, which is situated right next to the Market Theatre Complex in Newtown, Johannesburg. Welcome to this edition of the Art Bulletin. Tumi Sedumedi, and thank you for always choosing to stay with Morning Live. Thesis and Luxury Culture are just two of the many brands that will headline the Soweto Fashion Week. The annual event, which is currently underway, sees fashion buyers, fashion brands, fashion gurus and upcoming designers gather under one roof. And this year, it's the Soweto Theatre in Jabulani.
We started this labor as we saw the demographic gap in the fashion industry in terms of designers getting the opportunity to be, on the ramp, hidden talent becoming on the ramp. So we decided to headhunt for designers, and some of the designers, we find them on the streets actually designing for their neighbors or people on the street, and then we took them and we put them on the ramp in which they got exposure nationally and internationally. It's definitely going to be a combination of both the top Sowetan designers and top African designers. We've got designers from Thesis, Smarties, which are some of the top designers in Soweto, Luxury Culture. Also, we've got designers from Kenya, Tanzania, Nigeria. There's a designer who does plus-size clothing, UK-based, who will be showcasing. So yeah, we're going to see a combination of top Sowetan and African designers.
Love, family and dating across the Calabar are just some of the themes that will be explored by 6 filmmakers under a project titled Female Only Film Project by the National Film and Video Foundation. Producer Bongi Wesilani tells us a little more about the project in the next clip.
They were made under a theme called Negotiating Spaces. So all sorts of themes were explored, but really what came out is the how women in South Africa, or I suppose in Africa today, are continuously having to negotiate their own needs around what is expected of them. So films that came up were films about love and family and relationships, and really just women trying to make sense of who they are amongst the biggest scheme of things. What really was amazing is that I was working with very talented individuals. They all came with different skills, different ones, really. I think what came out is that there's a voice, there's a consistent narrative around what women are thinking and are feeling and are really wanting to put out there about themselves, but also really passionate about film. I think all of the 6 actually are going to make amazing filmmakers, and the point of the initiative is that these films serve as a kind of showreel, and they're able to, people see their capabilities and they can go on and do more work.
Atandwa Kani and Mnetisi Shabangu are the new generation of actors who have brought back to life the classic award-winning play Sizwe Banzi is Dead. The 2 young actors have recreated the characters that were made famous by iconic actors John Kani and Winston Nchona. Yes, the 2 Kanis are related. Atandwa is John Kani's son.
Sizwe Banzi is Dead is, literally about a story about a man who is forced to choose between his identity and a little bit of liberty. It's with the backdrop of apartheid. It is a man who serves as a mirror where the injustice of apartheid is reflected. He's not a stone thrower, he's not a political activist, he's not a hero. He's just a simple man who is deported and has to go home within 3 days, but he can't because there's no work at home. So he has to stay here. So something happens and something unravels in the story where he gets an opportunity to stay in Port Elizabeth, but the consequences of that are so dire, are so impossibly dangerous that it takes a while for him to make that decision. So he has to give up his identity just for a little bit of freedom to earn a little bit of money for his family.
We're telling a story of Robert Zwelinzima here, and Sizwe Banzi, So that's the story we're telling. That's the story we're interested in. Nobody's interested in apartheid. I think even then when the play was created, nobody was interested in apartheid because it stands out like this is a purely South African theatre piece that's not about toy. You know what I'm saying? So it's, you can't date it. It's fine the way it is. We can play it even 50 years to come. It will still be relevant.
We open on Friday the 28th until we run until the 14th of December before we go to the United States of America.
Memory Against Forgetting, a photographic journey of our shared history, was launched in Durban on Thursday evening. It also contains text by Kalim Rajab and is a collection of 4 decades of award-winning photography.
The significance of the title, Memory Against Forgetting, is that so much of life under apartheid, which is when Ranjit Kali's main contribution as a photojournalist took place, was about not only about enforced suffering, but about enforced forgetting. As non-white people, we forgot who we were. And so we wanted to use this title because we wanted to remember the past and to show people who might have forgotten in a modern generation about life under apartheid.
Kalim helped me to put my book together, and these were pictures taken. My first picture was taken in about 1946. That is when I left this. I worked for the leader for a little while, just doing freelance work and getting paid from the people that I photographed, to put their pictures in the paper.
The One campaign, which has the backing of 6 million people and will do almost any and everything to highlight and fight poverty and preventable diseases, has embarked on yet another campaign, and this one highlights the scourge that's affecting the continent, that is Ebola. This week, they released a video that features, amongst others, Angelique Kijo, Femi Kuti and Judith Sipuma. We spoke to the executive director of One Africa about the petition that's high on their priority list right now.
Essentially, we mobilize the grassroots, that's where the awareness part comes in, but we also lobby the policymakers in making sure that they're putting in place policies that are most effective at reducing poverty, particularly extreme poverty. But this is an Ebola campaign that you're referring to. It's actually a silent video, and we're working with artists. And the reason we're working with artists, again, is because they are regarded as role models in the communities. Young people see them as role models. Young people listen to them. They have the power of voice and platform, and so we want to leverage that because we think that no matter where you go, artists have a huge audience, they have a huge following, and working with them is actually an effective way of getting the attention of our leaders. What has happened with Ebola, our sense is that the response has been slow. The global response, and to be clear, has been very slow. And when it has eventually come, it's been uncoordinated. Some of the commitments have not been made. And sometimes it's not even clear whether they're new commitments or it's existing money that's being repackaged. So it's really important for us to call attention to this humanitarian crisis as a matter of emergency.
Today, all roads lead to the Soweto Cricket Oval, formerly known as Elka Stadium. That's where the 2nd annual Huma Secular Heritage Festival will take place. And among the acts supporting Brahu this afternoon, Beatenback, Tapotola, and my personal favorite, the Soul Brothers.
It's a nice mix of rock and pop and folk and township pop and jazz, and it's Brahu's show, you know what I mean? He's the headliner, but the lineup, the support lineup is very diverse, from Jeremy Loops and Beatenberg to the Soul Brothers, Tsepotsola, Laurie Levine, Josie Field. It's a killer lineup. It's a nice venue because it's central. It allows for like a family day, like a picnic outing. It's got nice parking, it's got nice access points, and it's also part of Brahu's drive to bring music back into Soweto, and it was a suitable venue just purely for the centrality of it, and also it works, it allows for parking, and it's a nice big field to have a picnic in.
The newly crowned Standard Bank Young Artist of the Year for Jazz, Ntutuzo Makatini, will launch his double CD today at the Bat Center in Durban. Supporting him will be Oma Kuku and Mbuso Khoza.
The 2 albums are Mother Tongue, and the one other album is Sketches of Tomorrow. Mother Tongue is a dedication to my mom and to my ancestors as well for introducing me to sound as my first language. I feel like they played a big role in terms of giving me this, as the best way to express myself. And basically Mother Tongue is about that, and a lot of music that inspired me, my childhood music, and a lot of church music that inspired me. So it's a celebration of that, celebration of language, of identity. The Bat Center is a venue carries so much, in it. So many great musicians have performed there. So the space is really charged with energy. So I'm just going there to submit myself to the energy that exists in the space. And people should look forward to a great show. And I have some very special guests that will be joining me. I have Oma Gugu, and I have Muso Koza, and I'll be joined by a friend from New York as well, Salim Washington. So people should really look forward to something great.
And that's us and our story on this edition of the Art Bulletin, coming to you from the newest kid on the shopping block, Newtown Junction in Johannesburg. For more arts, culture and lifestyle related news, make sure you catch us again tomorrow morning on Morning Live. In the meantime, do feel free to tweet at Morning Live SABC and make sure you hashtag the Art Bulletin. Until next time, it's a goodbye from us.